Welcome to Empowered by Iron, the podcast for female strength athletes by female strength athletes. We are your hosts, Kristen Lander from Fiercely Fueled Nutrition Coaching and Mary Morton from Silver Linings Podcast Productions. Together, we are Empowered by Iron. Empowered by Iron is proud to partner with Women's Strength Coalition. WSC is on a mission to build communities to increase access to strength training. This holiday season, WSC is looking to raise $30,000 in order to open their own community center and gym space. Please use the link in the description below to make a tax-deductible donation to Women's Strength Coalition this holiday season. This episode is brought to you by Fiercely Fueled Nutrition Coaching. The Fiercely Fueled method utilizes research-based facts and principles to create a custom nutrition program with the right amount of macronutrients to reach your goals, keep you healthy, and increase your athletic performance. Fiercely Fueled now offers hormone testing. If you are interested in nutrition coaching and or hormone testing from one of the best in the business, email Fiercely Fueled Nutrition at fiercelyfueled@gmail.com or check out their website at fiercelyfueled.com to sign up.
Welcome back to this episode of Empowered by Iron. We are a resource to help mold you into the lifter and the person that you want to be. If you haven't figured out by now, we are not your average strength podcast. We are challenging the cultural dynamics surrounding strong women. And we know that you guys have goals you want to accomplish. If you didn't have some sort of goals, you wouldn't be a lifter, or at least not a lifter for very long. So we need to find ways to get your mind right to help you accomplish these goals. So today's episode is all about mindset and mental gains. So I'm going to read you guys a quote that I found while searching the internet. This is a quote that is adapted from an article in Entrepreneur Magazine. I thought it was really fitting for today's episode. It says, "The single most important factor influencing a person's success is mindset. What you think about consistently has a direct impact on your behavior. So it's important to get this fundamental ingredient right. A seemingly small thing that makes a huge difference, mindset accounts for the primary distinction between those who succeed and those who do not. And if you are serious about achieving success in any area of your life, you must learn to master your mindset." So we challenge you to define success for yourself and don't use anyone else's definition of success.
I think that's like the hardest part, right? Because of Instagram. So,
Yeah,
or any social media.
Mm-hmm.
You think that you want someone else's goals because someone else wants it and they may look a certain way or have a certain lifestyle that you want. But you really have to reflect and think about what you want. And like I'm going through that right now. One of my 2017 goals is to work on my brain.
Your 2018 goal.
Oh, 2018.
It's almost 2018. Yeah.
Oh, God.
So, right, because a lot of people think, like, they want to look a certain way or whatever. So they look at success as just their, like, do they have abs? And are they hitting PRs every day in the gym?
Do they get to take fake pictures with nice fancy cars or what?
Right.
Right.
So, like, I think that I challenge you guys to think about how lifting is changing you as a person.
Yes.
And how lifting is impacting your community and how lifting is making you better as a whole. And I think that through our time in the gym and through our struggles and through, working on our mindset, we not only become better lifters, but I think we become better people.
Better people. Yeah. Well, I mean, anytime you have to overcome any type of adversity, whether it be something seemingly small, like getting over a mental, plateau or whatever in the gym, or maybe you hurt part of your body and you can't lift for a little while, like any type of adversity makes you a better person.
Right.
I would argue that the gym is probably the easiest place to learn that type of adversity and to get that strength to do that in the real world.
Yeah.
So we're setting ourselves up for a good set to the mindset. We're already like halfway there, right? We already have a place where we can fuck up and learn.
Right.
Yeah.
where it's not going to cost you, you know, like millions of dollars in a business deal or cost you your job
or whatever.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so it's a really good place. I agree. It's a really good place to practice failing.
It's a cheap mistake.
Yeah. So, we're going to go over some mindset and technique goals for goal setting for 2018. And, Mary and I have this amazing podcasting mentor named Elsie Escobar, and she actually asked us some of these same questions about podcasting and what our podcasting goals are for 2018. And part of that was to reflect on 2017.
Yeah.
And as I was listening to Elsie put these goals to us and these questions to us, I thought, this would be really great for our Empowered by Iron ladies, because this is really good for anyone to think about. Mm-hmm. So, I would challenge you to,
make a list of your accomplishments this year. That's the first thing. Yes. And that's not just PRs. That's not just how good you think you did or whatever. Like, what good things did you do in the gym, in life, at your work? Maybe, I don't know, maybe you got a promotion or whatever at work. Challenge yourself to look at what you did good this year. What are your accomplishments?
Right. And yeah, and like you said, not just PRs, like maybe your technique improved dramatically on something, and maybe you're actually lifting less weight, but you're going to eventually lift more weight because you fixed this technique that was hurting your back or about to hurt you or whatever it was. And even like improvements to your training schedule, or like you're finally like getting on a consistent schedule that you're happy with.
Or your work schedule. Like if you're like me, who was like all fucking gung-ho about going in from 6 in the morning to 2 p.m. because I have a flexible schedule, you realize that although I love it, it's not conducive to me being good in the eyes of my workspace. So switching my schedule to have less tension at work, I find that a great accomplishment.
It is. It's a really good accomplishment because you have to set aside what you want.
Yeah.
You have to set aside what you want in order to make the whole system work better. Yeah. So, you guys get a piece of paper and write down, like, look at like what worked for you guys this year and what didn't work for you. What do you want to do more of? Maybe you want to finally compete. Or maybe you competed like a ton this year and you're like, okay, I'm good. I don't need to step back on the platform for a little while. I just want to focus on getting strong and...
We just need to chill for a minute.
Right.
And in terms of what didn't work for you, if you're thinking like, well, what does that mean? Well, you can think of it in terms of diet. Yeah. For example, a lot of people are very, very good about counting their macros, and they are very stringent, and you know, this is kind of like Kristen, you know, she's very good about on a day-to-day basis of counting her macros. Now, she's a little bit more lenient just based on her goals right now, but it works for her. Counting macros works for Kristen. I've tried and beaten myself up for counting macros, and it just doesn't work for me no matter what I do. It's just a mental block I can't seem to get around. So that goes on my list of what didn't work for me. But what does work for me is having a general idea of what I need and trying to fit that in my day every single day, finding a checklist, writing down my meals. You know, those are the things that help me. So make that type of thing, you know. What did you try that didn't get you to where you want to be, but what did you try that helped get you closer?
Yeah, I like that.
Thank you. I thought of it right now.
One thing too, because this episode is about your mindset, maybe it's your attitude that needs work.
Oh yeah.
You know, if one thing that I think is something that all of us have been through is, like already thinking negative thoughts when you walk up to the bar.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
Oh, I'm not going to do this right or whatever. And so I challenge you to start a daily practice of just believing in yourself and knowing you possess the ability to improve. I think making a habit of every time you approach the barbell and just either not thinking or thinking something positive. I have something really cheesy that I recently started incorporating into my lifts because I tend to overthink lifts. If you're a weightlifter, you know that the clean and jerk and snatch are really technical lifts. And it's the technique that you have to get right before you're ever really going to lift much weight. And so I'm still ironing out a lot of technique issues. And I'll end up like thinking 3 cues as I walk up to the bar. And then it's like always the same 3 things that I need to work on. And I just finally stopped saying those cues to myself because it was almost like I was reinforcing the idea that I do them wrong every time.
Yeah.
And so I started saying, like, you know what to do, just do it now. And it's really worked for me.
Yeah. It's almost like the other way you remind your body of what you're not supposed to do. It's like, you can't have that cookie. What do you want?
You want that cookie. Yeah. So, yeah, I stopped thinking about the things that I did wrong, even though I would say it in a positive way. Like if I don't use my legs in the first pull, which is really stupid, but I didn't use my legs forever. And I would think, okay, use your legs. And now I'm like, how about we just don't think about that? Because now you know you're supposed to use them. Just do it.
Just do it. Make it a habit.
Right. Right. And so, I think the biggest thing is that we have to overcome the voices within us that spew negativity and stall our progress.
Yes.
That's a hard thing to overcome.
It's not easy.
Right.
It's very easy to write and say, but it is not an easy thing to do. And don't expect that to happen overnight either.
Yeah.
Or ever to go away.
Well, no, I think that's just it. I think that everyone has these ideas that kind of creep in to their brains once in a while, and the idea is that we have to fight it.
You have to actively fight it. Yep.
So we're going to talk about like specific goal setting in a bit, but first I want to talk about some techniques that you can use to get specific about how to define your goals.
Yeah.
Because
maybe you don't really have goals. Maybe you have goals in the gym, but you don't really know what you want in life. Or maybe you know what you want in life, but you feel very lost at the gym.
Right.
These are some techniques that could help you. Well, why don't you explain it, Kristen?
Yeah.
You're better at this.
Well, no, but you were just about to touch on something I think is really important, is that like I used to always have really broad goals, and I still kind of do, but I've found a way to make it work for me. But like just saying like your goal is to get stronger.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah, like
it's like when guys say you're too strong, you're like, what does that mean?
Yeah. Right. So it's like I commend you for having a goal of wanting to get stronger. That's great, but like we need to break that down into some specific goals. And I think that's actually something that's really hard for me, is to like defining my goal and committing to my goal. So, I have a couple of techniques that I really like for kind of bringing some of your thoughts to the forefront, where you can start to decide like, oh, I keep thinking about this thing. Maybe my goal needs to be surrounding that. I probably want to do something about it. So one of the techniques I really like is something called morning pages, which if you guys follow Mary on Instagram, she had been doing, I don't know, I actually haven't looked at your stories lately. Are you still doing this?
Yeah.
You put it in your stories forever.
Yeah, I haven't been putting it, I haven't been documenting it, so does that mean I've really been doing it? No, I've been doing it consistently now for I think almost half a month, so like 15 or 16 days.
That's awesome. So what Morning Pages is, it was developed by this woman named Julia Cameron in a book called The Artist's Way. And it was a way to get artists to like get out of like these mental blocks. And so she developed this way of just like sit down first thing in the morning, although it doesn't have to be first thing in the morning, but sit down first thing in the morning and just fill up 3 pages of a journal. It can be about anything. It can be about nothing. It just sitting down and writing. Just the act of writing, whatever you want to write about or whatever comes to your mind, brings your thoughts and your intentions to the forefront, which is a really powerful place for them to be. So tell us about your experience with it.
Yeah. So my morning pages are very sporadic, which is how my brain is. So typically what I do in the morning, I wake up, I'll shower, feed the dogs, and then, make coffee and sit down, and that's when I do it. So we're like half an hour after I've woken up at this point. Mm-hmm. So I sit down and I just start. The first thing that comes to my mind in the morning is usually a song. So I'll write down the title and artist, or at least the title if I don't know the artist, because I always have a song playing in my brain. And then once I get that on page, it's like, then the next thing happens. And what I found actually is that this internal dialogue that I have with myself every morning, just the act of getting it on a page and seeing it, being able to make it make sense. Because, sometimes maybe if we're in an argument, we have these things we want to say in our brain, but the minute we say them out loud, they're like this jumbled mess of nonsense.
Yes.
Putting them on a page, whether it's just like what I need to do today, how I was feeling yesterday, a big idea, a small idea, like actually seeing them on a page solidifies it and allows me to expand. And I've also started doing, this might be excessive, so don't feel like you need to do this. I've been doing night pages as well.
Oh.
But this is more of like, this is more of a creative exercise, trying to think of a topic and just spewing whatever I can on it. And then that gets my brain to shut up at night.
Uh-huh.
This is why 2018 I really want to focus on my brain and trying to get myself to use my mental powers for good things instead of jumbled things.
Yeah.
But anyway, morning pages is great. Highly recommend it.
Yeah. Hey, if you guys, I saw an interview with Sarah Robles after she won gold across the board at World Championships. Awesome job, Sarah. And she was interviewed, it might have been by Flowleet. I'm not sure. I don't know who it was. I saw it on Facebook and didn't pay attention. But anyway, I paid attention to what she said. And one of the things she talked about mindset. Did you hear this interview?
No.
It was so good. She talked about mindset and how, like, right now, like, she's an amazing weightlifter. She's really strong. Her technique is solid. She is good. Right now, anything that holds her back is her mind, she says. So really learning to channel that and be extremely focused. Because if you guys have heard any of our interviews with Sarah or were on the Facebook Live Q&A in our Facebook group, she's just, or if you look at her social media ever, she's just really like carefree and silly and awesome. And then she steps on the platform and she's
new person.
She's a different person. She is very intense and very focused. And that's obviously something that she's practiced. And she talks about, she talks about how you can't be that focused and that intense 100% of the time, like all day. You can't do that. So she obviously has the ability to turn it on and turn it off, which I think a lot of that comes from training this mindset stuff.
Yeah, which is an excellent goal. And it's coming from Sarah. So, like, obviously it has some merit.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's Sarah.
Absolutely.
Did you see when she was waiting for the white light, she just, like, pointed at the judges and was like, eh?
Yeah.
Eh? They were like, all right, whites.
Yeah. Yeah, she's awesome. I love her. Okay, so the other thing, the other method that I really like for kind of bringing your ideas to the forefront of your brain is guided meditation. And every time I say this on the podcast, I feel like a weird woo-woo, like granola eater hippie. And I guess I kind of am a little bit of a hippie. I am a chiropractor. But it's been, I've had a lot of struggles in my life with depression and anxiety, and especially anxiety. And guided meditation has been a way for me to kind of like calm my brain down a few steps, like, and begin to like, okay, what's going on here? So I think like just the act of being present, even for a few minutes a day, like really being very present is incredibly powerful. So there's all sorts of apps that you can download that are guided meditation. I think there's even guided meditation on Spotify, but definitely on YouTube.
There's someone on podcasts too.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I do have a guided meditation podcast. Derp. Can't believe I forgot about that one. But even just if you don't want to do guided meditation,
sit down cross-legged with the burning essence. Or what was it called?
Incense? Yeah, no, I don't do all that.
And go,
No, I don't do all that. But like just something as simple as like cleaning my kitchen and being present and not trying to think about anything while I'm doing it. Like I don't have it. It's usually my house is quiet, whatever. And just like going about doing the dishes and cleaning my kitchen, really like I just let thoughts like come in and go out of my brain. And usually it'll make me feel renewed and sometimes brings about awareness of a way to handle a frustration or something that like I realize I keep thinking about over and over again. Like, oh, well, this thing was the answer to the question I didn't even know I had.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's something that's been really a powerful tool for me for coming up with like kind of like knowing my next step in life.
Yeah. Or even determining what your goals are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Whether it's business or relationship or the gym or just anything, community, whatever. It's just a really powerful tool for me. So
we're going to take a real quick break here and we're going to hear some wise words from Stacy Bama Burr about goal setting and visualization and how she utilized these tools to become an all-time world record holder.
Hey guys, this is Bama Burr, and this is part of Bama's Rants, brought to you by Empowered by Iron. And if you know anything about me, you know that I like to rant and I like to talk and I have a ton of thoughts. Sometimes you can relate, sometimes maybe you can just get a laugh. But either way, if you're here, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you supporting Empowered by Iron and everything that they're about and their vision. What I'm going to be talking about today is going to be goal setting. And I wrote an article several months ago about the art of goal setting. And I really wanted to tell you guys, kind of from my experience and my perspective, how important it is to set goals for yourself. And I don't mean this just in training. I don't mean this just in life. This is something for everybody and every walk of life. Like, do it with your career, do it with your, everything. Your eating, your diet, whole 9 yards. Because if you do, you'll have something to shoot for. If you constantly wake up every morning with no alarm, you're just kind of disoriented, you're discombobulated, right? If you don't know what's next, you're like, what am I going to do today? A lot of times on those days, your lazy days, that's when you don't get very much done. Sure, it's great to relax and, recover from the week. But if we did that every day, we probably wouldn't get very far because we didn't have structure, we didn't have goals. Before the US Open, I wrote my goals down on a tablet, a little sheet of paper, index card. I wrote them down and I put them somewhere where I could see them. That's the key. Write down your goals, put them somewhere you can see them. And every day that I woke up and I saw them, I was like, is what I'm doing helping me reach that goal or is it hurting me? Ask yourself that because you'll see that goal all the time. If your goal is to squat 500 pounds, like mine was, I squatted 501 by the way. But I saw it and I was like, is what I'm eating gonna help me or is it gonna hurt me? I'm tired, I don't wanna go to the gym. You look at that goal, is me skipping training gonna help me or hurt me? Write down the goals. If you wanna be the CEO of a company, write it down. If you wanna have your own business, write it down. Set yourself goals because then you have something to work for. You have a deadline, you have a timeline, you have goals to reach because once you hit those, they're gonna continue to grow and get bigger. If you have goals, write them down, and I promise you, you'll have a lot better chance of hitting them because you see it every single day. And whatever your goals may be, I hope all you guys decide to chase them, and I hope you reach them. I hope you reach them and exceed them.
All right, so that was awesome, and I hope you guys are all fired up now to figure out what your goals are and how you're going to set yourself up for 2018. So now the question is, what do you do, right? So number 1, set a goal right now. Let's just use this as an exercise. Grab a piece of paper, grab a pencil, grab a pen. Set a goal. Think about a goal, any goal. This is just a practice. It could be your goal this week, your goal overall, your goal last week, your goal this year. Write something down. Okay, got that? 2, ask yourself, is this specific? Is it a number, a certification, a habit, money or income, or is it vague? A vague goal would be, I want to get better at squatting. Okay, well, what is better? What is the current problem? Is it a number? Is it depth? Have you never squatted before and this is your first time ever? Why? You have to be able to define what better is. So if we took that goal and made it more specific, it would sound like this. I want to increase my 1 rep max squat by 10 kilograms in 2018. Boom. Specific. There's no question as to what your goal actually is, right? Okay, now that we have our specific goal, number 3, write it down where you can see it every single day. This is just what Bama talked about, visualization. You need to put it in some place you can see every day, whether it's on a whiteboard near your office, on a piece of paper in your bathroom, maybe it's on the back screen of your phone, something. You need to be able to see it every single day. Okay, now that you know where you're going to put it every day, number 4, this one's really important and I feel is very overlooked. Give yourself a deadline. There's no reason to have a goal if you never put a timestamp on your goal. I want X by this date. You'll never find the drive to finish it. If you want to increase your 1 rep max squat by 10 kilograms in your entire life? Sweet, squat once a month. Boom, you're done. No problem. You'll get there in your lifetime. Eventually. But if you changed it to in 2018 or in the next 6 months, well, now we've lit a fire under your ass. Now you're like, okay, well, if I want to do that, I really need to get to the gym today or whenever my coach tells me, and I need to figure out what I need to do to get that goal done. So give yourself a deadline. Number 5, sit back and evaluate your goal. Now that you have it written, now that you have it someplace that you think you'll see it every day, and you've given yourself a deadline, ask yourself, is this attainable? Can I reasonably do this if I put my heart and soul into it? You should know yourself well enough to answer this question, and don't let laziness be an excuse. If you work your ass off, can you achieve this? So like 10 kilograms in a squat might be achievable. Let's say this is your first year, you're still very new into lifting. 10 kilograms might be very reasonable. If you're someone who's been in it for 10 plus years, a 10 kilogram squat PR might be excessive just based on your muscle growth and how things work.
Right.
So maybe 3 kilograms might be more attainable for you. I'm not saying to limit yourself here. Don't misread it as that. I'm not saying that you cannot accomplish that, but what I don't want is for you to set a goal and then have it so far out of reach that you're not going to be able to attain it in your timeline. Now, if you evaluate your goal and you're like, hell yeah, I can attain this. This is the goal that I want, but I can't do it in 6 months. Go back and change that. Say, okay, I know I can do this in 2 years. There you go. A goal.
Right. And then maybe set smaller goals
to reach that.
To get up to that 2-year goal.
That could be a whole nother podcast, but right now, big things.
Yeah.
And number 6, finally, plan it into your daily routine. What can you do today to get further to your goal? What do you need to do to accomplish your goal or to take the step to accomplish your goals today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
So those are the 6 things. You should have a goal right now.
All right. And once you have your goal, now we have to start the process of working towards it.
Yep.
And so something that's been really helpful for me, coming back from surgeries, and basically having almost an entire year off, where my goal was just like, let's go and lift and see if I can move my body. So is now that I'm actually training and getting my strength back, for me, just focusing on the process of training is huge. So whatever the process of whatever your goal is. So like focus on every lift and every rep, like be present for each one. Don't just go through the motions, like be present, think about, strive to make every single lift your best one yet. Like don't focus on that 350-pound squat that you set for yourself to hit in 6 weeks or 6 months or whatever. Focus on what you want to do, what you need to do in the gym today. What do you need to do in the gym this second to get you closer to that goal?
Yeah. And you hear a lot, especially from and I don't mean to call out bodybuilders, but you hear that a lot because bodybuilding is a tough sport.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to get down to a certain size, and
yeah, it's very mentally challenging.
It's very mentally challenging, but you hear them afterwards saying you have to love the process.
Yeah.
And that's true for anything. And it sounds cheesy and it sounds stupid, and if you don't love the process yet, don't worry, there's nothing wrong with you. You just haven't let yourself love the process yet.
Right.
You have to realize that you are not what your final goal was. You are not that gold medal. You are not that silver medal. People may congratulate you for that. People may look at that and say, oh my God, you're amazing. But really what you need to be congratulated for is the journey there.
Yep.
Every day you showed up to the gym, every day you ate your meals, every single day you put in the work. That medal is just... It's just the fruition.
It's a culmination of all of those things.
Right. It's the fruition of everything that you did. Congratulations on your journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Another thing that I think is really helpful in the gym, although Mary and I disagree on this because our minds are a little different. Our minds work different of each other. Imagine that. For me, shutting off all distractions is really important because we've got the podcast that we basically, other than recording, we run from our phone.
Yep.
Our phones. We don't share a phone, thank God. So, and then I've got my nutrition business where I potentially have new clients emailing me, current clients texting me and emailing me. I was like, you know what? I am starting to get a lot of distractions in my training because of my phone. And it was taking me away from exactly what I just got done telling you guys to do, is to be present on every single rep. And so I put my phone in airplane mode most of the time now and just don't worry about it. Like, if there's an emergency, pretty much everyone knows where to find me at the gym. So someone will come find me. But also sometimes I'll spend time between my sets, especially if I'm alone and there's no one else in the gym to kind of feed off of each other's energy, is to watch lifting videos of really high energy lifters. Miko Tokala is one of my favorite lifters to watch. I don't know if you guys know this guy. He's a weightlifter from Finland. He's 85 kilo weightlifter. And he is so intense, like intense to the point where he regularly passes out because he like lifts and then like screams and falls down and passes out. It's kind of funny, but he's just so intense. And watching that kind of intensity during training is, especially if I am on my own, is really good. I really like that. It is contagious. Yeah. And if you are with people, like, you know, don't be playing on your phone in between, like be present with your training partners and help, you know, fuel their energy and their efforts. But another thing that I really like is the book Relentless by Tim S. Grover. And this is a really, really powerful book. It's all about mindset. And I have like whole passages and quotes highlighted in this book. And I always throw it in my training bag if I know I'm going to be alone. And I'll pull it out if I need some inspiration, because he just has... I feel like every word of that book is incredibly powerful for mindset. Yeah.
It's a very well thought out book.
Right. But you like distractions when you're training.
Yeah, I need distractions because my brain is all over the place. If I get in my head, if I'm so focused that all I think about is lifting, I'm going to fuck up. I'm going to fuck up bad too. So if we actually had like a consistent time where we had team training or I had multiple teammates or whatever, like there was always someone there and we were always feeding off each other, I don't think I would need my phone as much, but I typically train alone. I mean, when it's us, I'm not on my phone as much as when it's just me.
Right.
But I need to be able to distract myself. Otherwise, I'll think way too much about what I'm doing.
Well, and I think this is where it comes in, where you working on your mindset is going to really play into this.
Yeah.
Because I think that you might maybe get in your head and then like negative thoughts start creeping in.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. So it's a mindset thing, which 2018, here we go.
Yeah. So basically all of this is to say, like, you have to get your brain to believe that you will have success. If you don't believe that you can succeed, you won't. And I don't know what it is in our society for like us to think like to set these goals and then think like, oh, well, like to downplay them.
Yeah, like they're
like
not
believe in yourself. But I don't know. I feel like it's considered cocky to actually believe that you can be successful.
It is, and it's considered egotistical. Like,
I hate that.
If you've accomplished something, look, it's not bragging if you can do it. Like, it's not egotistical if you did it.
Right.
Like, if you put in the work and you accomplished it, or you want to accomplish it and you're putting in the work, it's not bragging.
Right.
If you can do it. Now, if you're the asshole walking around being like, I could squat 100 more pounds than you, then yeah, you're the asshole.
Wait, we actually had that happen at our old gym. Do you remember
Oh
that? When you were front squat? You had just started front squatting because you were just switching over to weightlifting.
I think we told you this. So
yeah, we maybe did.
It was this one time I just switched over to weightlifting. I was finding my front squat max. And I got up, it was like 208 pounds. This mother trucker comes over.
It was like a 19-year-old guy.
Some dude. He walks over and he's like, I could do that. And so instead of just cowering away, I was like, yeah, do it. Right now. And he was like, all right, I can do it. And I was like, okay, do you want me to pull off weights so you can warm up? And he was like, no, I can totally do it. Sorry, my voice is being very rude. But so he got under the bar, and of course he couldn't do it.
Well, he had never front squatted.
He
said, he tells Mary, I can do that. But then he's like, oh, well, I mean, like, put it on my back. And Mary's like, well, fuck yeah, I can back squat a hell of a lot more than that.
Oh, yeah.
Asshole. So Mary and I both look at him like, so can we. So anyhow, you challenged him, and he actually, I was impressed only in that dude had the balls to try it. He had never front squatted. He tried to front squat like over 200 pounds, which was a little frightening. And I like the chiropractor in me wanted to be like, stop, this isn't safe. But I just let it go.
And the asshole in me was like, do it.
And he failed.
Oh, right? He felt bad. Like, and then it was the excuse, like you said, I could back squat that. And I was like, me too. I can do that for probably 10 reps. I'm new to this. Go away.
Right.
Anyway, that's to say that it's only bragging if you're an asshole and walk up to people and tell them that you can squat more than them.
Right. Right.
Nobody asked you.
So yeah. So you have to believe that you will be successful. And I think that one of the best ways to do this, and like Mary said, I think it was number 6 that we were talking about earlier, was creating daily habits surrounding your goals. This signals your brain that every day you're working towards your goal.
Yep.
So whether it's just writing your goal down every day, you talked about putting it somewhere where you can see it. Mm-hmm. And I say, actually physically write it down every day if you want to.
Absolutely.
If that's going to be a daily habit that's going to keep this in the forefront of your mind, do it. One thing that really works for me is like creating a routine every day that sets me up for success. And so like my sleep habits, my nutrition, the amount of time I sit in a day, all of those things go into creating habits designed to get me to my goal. And it's not, that sounds like that's excessive.
It sounds like you have every minute of every day planned, but that's not true.
No. I don't do well with structure. This is why I only see patients 3 days a week, because that's all I can handle to have that much of my time structured out. Because I'm at work, I have to be very regimented, right? Like I have to keep on schedule with patients. I can't get behind. I don't like to make people wait. And so it's insanely structured when I'm at work, and I can only handle that 3 days a week. And so that's why I've got the podcast and a nutrition company, so that I have other parts of my days where I have no structure. I have things I have to accomplish, and there's no real structure to it. It's basically I have a checklist. So I do that with the routine surrounding my goals. Is basically I have either a written checklist or a mental checklist of, did you do your extra mobility? Did you, like I keep food in my refrigerator. I'm not huge on meal prepping, but I keep food in my refrigerator that I can easily create a meal with.
Yeah.
because like making sure that I have food in my refrigerator to eat so that I'm not like, crap, I have to go to the gym in an hour and I haven't eaten anything all day because I didn't go grocery shopping, you know? Yeah. So having, all of that stuff worked out, like my sleep habits, like I try to get a certain, you know, at least 9 hours of sleep every night. And so I have an alarm on my phone that goes off when I have to start getting ready for bed and, doing all that. So, all that's just set up so that I can train really hard and so that I can recover, so I can get everything done that I need to do for work and training and life.
Yeah, and life. Don't forget life.
Right.
But that might sound overwhelming to some of you guys, and that's fine. You have to realize that Kristen has been doing this for many years. And so she probably started with 1 or 2 habits and really focused on adding those in. And then over time, once they become habits, you don't really think about it anymore.
That's right.
Like, I don't think about brushing my teeth twice a day. Boom. It just happens. Like, before I go to bed, teeth.
Right.
You know, but like right now, if you're listening to it and you're like feeling all clenched up on the inside, that's okay. Breathe.
Yeah.
Find yourself one habit that will help you towards your goal. Yeah. And do that.
Yep. And it's exactly what I tell people when they're making changes to their nutrition and they want to start eating a healthier diet or whatever. Like, don't go all out. Yeah, don't do it. Don't make one change. Let's focus on one thing. Master that one thing. Add in something else. And so it's slow. Yeah. I mean, I've been training in some capacity since I was in high school and I'm 37 now. So I kind of have things figured out. Yeah. You know, I know what works for me. I know what doesn't work for me, and what works for me right now might not work for me in a year, and I will reevaluate and every year and figure it out.
Right. So think of the habits that could help you, but also pay attention to yourself. Pay attention to what you need. That's another, and I think that could be a whole nother episode, is learning how to listen to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think really when I talk about a routine, all I'm saying is some sort of routine. It could be as simple as writing your goal down every day, but it tells your brain that this is important and that this is your focus, and that things kind of start falling into place when your brain's like, well, okay, this is what we're doing. We're going for it.
Yep. No excuses. This is it. We're going to do this and then it'll be over.
Right.
Right.
So I think we had someone on our Facebook group page.
Which if you're not a part of, it's called Women's Strength. Whoa, not Women's Strength Coalition, but you should totally check them out as well. They're fucking awesome. But our Facebook group page is Women in Strength Athlete Resource. And we pulled this from what Kristen's about to talk about from one of the group questions, group chats. That's a great place for you guys to go in and talk with other lifters and really get a sense of community surrounding this podcast.
Yeah.
It's an
awesome place. Well, so Julianne asked us in one of the posts, she said that she wants to learn more about how to measure progress, such as keeping a training log, and the best way to do that and measure short and long-term growth to estimate where she might be in terms of the 3 major lifts, like come competition year after year. And I read that question and was like, whoa, that I have no idea how to answer that. And I thought about it for a little while. And then I was like, there's a really good reason I don't know how to answer that. Not that I have all the answers, because I certainly don't, but
there's no answer.
There's no answer. That's the thing. That's the crazy thing about this, is measuring your progress like long term as a lifter is really difficult. And that's why in the beginning of this episode, we encourage you guys to think about measurements of progress that don't just have a number associated with them. Yeah. Because at competition, all that matters is the number, right?
True.
But every day in the gym, your progress, there's a lot of times where if you're only focused on the number on the bar, you're going to feel like you failed a lot.
Yeah.
Because there's other ways to measure your progress, which is technique and all the stuff we've been talking about, mindset and whatever. And so it's impossible to say, okay, this is how much I'm lifting today. If I continue on this path, how much will I be lifting in a year? And that's impossible to say because you're going to hit plateaus. It's dependent upon your training cycle. It's dependent upon what's going on in your life that might be taking you. Maybe you have to miss some training. Maybe you have to dial in your nutrition. Yeah. There's so many different things. So it's
maybe you tried to deadlift and fucked up your back.
Right.
And then you had to take a year off. You can't account for all those variables and then apply it to your training. So the only thing you can do is focus on your training every single day and move on from there. If you're a beginner lifter, you're going to make serious gains in your first year to 2 years. I think it's going to be mind-blowing. And then you're going to slow down. And then at that point, it's just kind of like grinding and figuring out if you still love the sport and pushing through the sport because you're not going to make big PRs all the time.
Right.
They're going to be small PRs, but that's when finding something else to work towards that's not a number is very important. This is why a lot of NFL players, when they leave the NFL, they're like, who the fuck am I? Because all that they've known is football.
Yep.
All that they've known is the NFL. And then once they take a step out, they're like, well, I don't have a Super Bowl to look forward to. I don't have team practice to look forward to. Who am I? Yeah. And so I think that's a silver lining of injuries. If any of you guys have ever been injured, is it really takes you outside of the gym and think about, well, who the fuck am I if I can't lift?
Yep.
Which we've talked about before.
We have.
If you guys haven't listened to those episodes, I'll try to link some of them in the show notes. Like who you are outside of the gym and who you are inside the gym and what happens if you can't come back and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. But to answer your question, Julianne, is we can't. I think is that good?
Yeah, we can't. We can't.
All right. As we said before, if you guys haven't checked out our Facebook group page, it's Women in Strength Athlete Resource. Go ahead and join that. We'd love to have you a part of our podcasting strength community. We are a podcast, we are a community, and we are a movement. Also, check out our Patreon page. This podcast is completely provided by us, and we would love to be able to grow it in ways, and we would love your support. So go check out our Patreon page, and I think that's it.
All right. Talk to you next week, guys.
Bye.